My size, my length, that can kind of do everything as far as offense and defense. LaMelo Ball with the Hornets, of course, and, willing to, help out younger guys. I think that kind of plays a big key in any rookie going to the.
Let's go down memory lane, shall we? The Hornets picking in the top 2 of the draft for the 3rd time since 2004. Back in 2012, Charlotte had the 2nd pick. They took Michael Kidd-Gilchrist out of Kentucky. He played 8 seasons in Charlotte, averaged 10-plus points per game just twice. 8 years earlier, Charlotte also had the 2nd pick, and they selected Emeka Okafor out of UConn, who won Rookie of the Year and averaged a double-double each of his 5 seasons in Charlotte. Joining us now is our college basketball analyst, Jay Billis, to give us lots of basketball talk. And we just heard Brandon Miller there say, Jay, what he thinks that Charlotte needs. But how do you see the fit for him there?
I don't think the fit really matters. I mean, Charlotte needs the best available player, and Brandon Miller is the best available player after Victor Wembanyama. He's 6'9", and he can really shoot it. Very athletic. He's got length. He's a multi-positional defender, even though he's not a lockdown defender. He can get up and block and bother shots. He can switch out on a guard and contain. And he's really improved his finishing ability. Early in the season for Alabama, he was not finishing at the rim at a high rate, but really improved that over the course of the season and took the ball to the basket much stronger. I think Brandon Miller is going to be a very good NBA player. And I actually live in Charlotte. If he's looking for a place to live, I'd be happy to sell my home at a healthy premium.
Sure, perfect. Yeah, yesterday's price is not today's price. Also, you know what he knows how to do, Jay Billis? Stir up social media. He was asked who's the greatest NBA player of all time, and he said Paul George. So anyway, we won't hold him against him. As for the
that's because he compares.
He does.
He compares favorably to Paul George,
right.
And nobody's saying he's LeBron. But yeah, smart. Maybe he just increased his value.
Right. Maybe he's confusing favorite player with GOAT. As for the projected number 3 pick, Scoot Henderson, he spoke a little earlier today about potentially landing with Portland. Listen up.
I think that, that double backcourt, that heavy guard backcourt, I think I complement his game in many ways of, being a distributor first, attacking the basket, doing a lot of things that the team might need, and playing defense as well. And so I can learn a lot from him, just, him being such a great shooter and all the great things he does and how he won Rookie of the Year. So, yeah, it'd be fun playing backcourt with him.
A revisit for the Trail Blazers, if you will. They've drafted in the top 3 twice since 1984. Back in 07, Portland drafted center Greg Oden out of Ohio State, number 1 overall. Of course, injuries, right? Oden only able to play in 105 career games. Kevin Durant selected with the 2nd pick in that draft. 23 years prior, 1984, Portland drafted Sam Bowie out of Kentucky. He went on to play 4 seasons in Portland, averaged over 10.5 points per game. Let's be real. It's always about what they could have had. Michael Jordan instead, because he was taken 3rd overall in that same draft. Scoot is a firm believer, Jay, that he pairs well with Dame. But from your evaluation, how do you see him fitting in with that Portland franchise star?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's necessarily about fit. If he does go to Portland, I think it's another question of best available player. And I think Scoot Henderson at number 3, if Brandon Miller goes 2nd to Charlotte, would be the best available player. He's so dynamic. At only 6'2", he's got a wingspan of a guy 6'9", and he can really get to the rim and finish with authority. He's got great quickness and speed. And can really have a quick burst to get to the basket. He hasn't figured out the shooting piece yet. He only shot about 29% from 3. He's played 2 years in the G League. If he goes to Portland, he's not going to have the ball in his hands as much because of Dame Lillard. But the real positive of that is he's going to be trained by one of the greats of the game in Lillard. So there are some real positives there. But I'm not sure you're too worried at number 3 about fit as you are about what's the best thing long term and the best asset and player. And I think Scoot Henderson is that. So
he certainly cemented himself as the number 1 guard in this draft. But who do you view as the top choice behind Scoot Henderson?
I would probably say Amen Thompson of Overtime Elite. He's about 6'5", another guy with crazy long wingspan and a world-class athlete, just a freak of an athlete. Good vision as a passer, another guy who's excellent in transition. Not a great shooter, but the other would be Anthony Black of Arkansas. Who's another, he's 6'7", can see over defenses. He's got a strong low base. I wouldn't call him a spectacular athlete, but he's athletic, and he can make plays for himself and for others. But he's got to improve his perimeter shooting as well.
That's Jay Billis joining us from Brooklyn. We'll see Jay tomorrow night, our NBA draft coverage kicking off tomorrow at 7:30. Thank you, Jay. Much more from the draft ahead on SportsCenter. JJ Redick is standing by. He's going to share his experience after hanging out with Victor Wembanyama yesterday. While all signs point to the top pick delivered. Seen his highlights, you certainly know why. You're looking at him right now. But for Vic, tomorrow night is more than a dream come true. It's honestly a prophecy fulfilled.
Ever since I knew about the draft, exactly how it worked, I wanted to be first. And yeah, I think I started to realize I could be a professional basketball player at the age of probably 12. Tomorrow, something is going to happen that I've been thinking for years and years. I just feel really, really lucky just to live this life, you know. I just know I'm going to have trouble sleeping tonight, for sure.
I can only imagine. Certainly our next guest knows something about that. We're joined by one half of the Old Man in the Three podcast, NBA analyst JJ Redick is here with us. And JJ, I know that you and your co-host Tommy spoke with Wemby for about an hour. You dove really deep into how this 19-year-old is processing these expectations and the idea that he would be a generational talent. What struck you most about how he's handling all this?
People often talk about young players having a good head on their shoulders. With Victor Wembanyama, it goes beyond that. He has a real maturity, a sense of self, a self-awareness, and a humbleness to him. He kept using the word responsibility. Responsibility to his teammates, responsibility to the game, responsibility to the gifts that he's been given, the talent, the frame, the size. I think about all the young players coming into the league that I've talked to or watched and observed, and no one is as prepared as Victor Wembanyama.
You mentioned his demeanor because we always do a lot of comps in terms of like on-court play itself, but in your experience, like who does he remind you of demeanor-wise?
Well, look, I often use this term, the selfless star, and they really are an anomaly in the NBA. The NBA is about marketability and selling yourself. But he reminds me a lot of another San Antonio Spur, Tim Duncan. He reminds me of Giannis Antetokounmpo. He reminds me of Steph Curry. He reminds me of Nikola Jokic.